Good morning, everybody. It's Chris here. In today's video, we are covering the month of November. It is already November 1st, believe it or not. This year is really flying by. And what that means is winter is just around the corner, and right now we have a transition month between the warmth and the cold. And to start this off here, we're going to be looking at the GFS Ensemble package here. This is yesterday evening's run, and it's been rather consistent as of late. In the past few days here, this week will be warmer than average. We can take this forward here, and these reds are indicating a ridge over our region, which leads to these warmer than average temperatures. And this will continue throughout the week. By the time we get to the weekend, though, we'll have this trough that will set up shop over the northeast with a ridge out west. This is not a permanent trough, though. It's only temporary for this weekend, but it will allow for cooler than average or right around average temperatures, probably slightly below average if I had to guess right now. So compared to this week, compared to the 60s and 70s we'll have in a couple days, this will definitely feel much colder than this past week, obviously. Well, this upcoming week, but by the time we get there, it'll be this past week. So this is Friday. So Friday will be a bit below average, and as we head in the weekend, it will be right around average with a northwest flow, maybe slightly cooler. Now, as we head out into the future, though, it's going to be hard to get rid of the warmth. Right now, it looks like we'll have right around average to maybe a little bit above average throughout the first 2 weeks of November. We can take this out even further here. We're at November 7th already. And you can notice the ridge is really trying to build over our region, and the trough is too far east to give us below average temperatures. However, when we advance forward here, we'll see if it shows it. By the time we get to the second half of November, take this forward here. We're at November 11th here, so we're getting close to the second half of November. We're going to have a trough over the east and a ridge out west. This allows for the warmer temperatures to begin the month, maybe the first 10 days or so, will lead to cooler than average temperatures for the second half of the month. So between November 10th and November 15th, I would say you can expect the transition between average to warmer than average temperatures to below normal for this time of year. Now, are we talking severely below normal? I don't think so to start off. We'll be slightly cooler than average, but as we head further into November and closer to December, we could be talking about pretty significantly below average and the potential for some snow chances or some kind of wintry event. And we can take this forward here. You have the blues indicating the cold again, and we have a nice ridge out west. If this was January, we would be talking about a nice setup for our region for some snowfall. We even got some blocking toward our north, so this is a good recipe for winter storms if we were another month or two into the season. Now, that doesn't mean we can't have snowfall in November, as we've had that before. That's not uncommon. But right now, we still are transitioning from the warmth to the cold, so it'll take a little bit. You have to establish the cold first before you get the snowfall. And this trough hangs around through most of the run here. Now, as we advance this forward here, we're at hour 3:30, so it starts to flatten out a bit. I expect this ridge to sharpen and this trough to sink further south, much like how it has it right here for the majority of the run. But as we advance this further here, and as it gets further in the future, it kind of flattens out, and I'm not sure if I believe that or not. This might just because it's such a long time from now. Now, the only reason I'm even putting stock into this is because it's an ensemble package, which means it's not just one run. It's a mean or an average of different model runs inputted into the GFS. So we're not looking at just one run here. This is an average. With that being said, this leads into our analogs here, and we'll first review September. October's not quite in yet. We'll review that probably sometime in November. I'll have a video on that. But it's much like September here. Notice how much warmer it is over the central and eastern U.S. October will actually it either set record warmth or pretty close to it, I forget, for many locations throughout Pennsylvania. And down south, in the southeast, especially in October, record warmth is ongoing in many locations, especially in like the Atlanta region. Those areas are topping off at 85, 88 degrees consistently over the last few weeks, which is very, very impressive for this time of year and quite unheard of. Now, this does not mean, as I stated in last month's video, a warm summer and a warm September, warm October does not lead to a warm winter. Well, it doesn't automatically mean a warm winter. Yeah, we can have a warm winter, but it doesn't. You don't automatically just assume, oh, we had a warm summer, warm fall, that means a warm winter's coming. That's not the case. There's science behind it. But with that being said, looking at our analogs here, we can expect a flip, like I said, around the November 10th, November 15th time frame, somewhere around mid-month, to a colder than average November. However, these are the analogs I used here. 95 was double weighted. Then you have 83, 2013, and 1959. This, I believe, is a bit overdone here with the cold. I think it won't be quite as impressive as this is showing, but I really like the placement of the cold versus the warmth. I think that's the real takeaway here. So after we get past mid-month, expect slightly below normal temperatures. First month might be a bit above average, so by the end of the month, we'll probably be right around normal for November. If I had to put my money on one side or the other, it would be for a slightly below average temperature-wise in the month of November for our area. Precipitation. It's nothing crazy here. We're looking around average precipitation. I know many of you are wondering, hey, are we going to get snowfall in the month of November? You know what? I think out of all the past couple winters here, this November, towards the end, I'm actually, I wouldn't say confident in saying we will have a snow event before the end of the November. But I am the most confident I've been in previous Novembers from saying this. And that's not saying much because last year was very warm and the pattern was horrible. But I can see this shaping up to 2014. We had a snowstorm Thanksgiving week. Now, it was supposed to be like a 6 to 12 inch snowstorm, and it turned out to be more like a 1 to 3 inch type. That's simply because the snow just wouldn't stick because it was the ground was a little bit warm at the time, and the precipitation wasn't heavy enough. So it's kind of similar to 2014 as when we might see a snow event. Now, I'm not saying it'll be a snowstorm. We could have like snow showers overnight or something like that. So I think after November 20th through the end of November, I think we will. I don't think we'll escape without a snow event. I'm fairly confident in it. I'm not going to say I'm confident, if that makes any sense, but if I had to put the odds, maybe close to the 50% chance of it happening, which doesn't sound high, but it is actually pretty high, in my opinion, for this month of November. Now, as we head further into the winter, into December, January, and February, that's still to be determined exactly of what's to come. It is looking like it will be a colder winter and potentially a little bit snowier. I have to do a little bit more research and gather my information, and I'll have all that released in 2 weeks from, just about 2 weeks from now, on November 14th, I believe I said in my last post on Facebook. I think that's a Monday. Yeah, it should be a Monday. This November 14th. So that'll be released. The winter outlook will be released then. That'll actually go over temperatures for each month, snowfall by the numbers, all that good stuff that you guys are looking forward to. And for now, I'm going to leave you guys with this November outlook. I'll have more updates as we approach the release of the winter outlook.